Hello, ladies and gentlemen on YouTube, and welcome to the second event of Daytona Speedweek for Season 9 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Busch Duels here at Daytona International Speedway, as we're getting ready to determine the starting lineup for the Daytona 500, as well as who will get to make the race, because I prefaced this at the Clash on Monday that every race, including the Daytona 500, will be knockout qualifying style because it's a 50 driver field for the season and only 40 of them can race on a given race. Basically every race, even here at Daytona through to the end of the season at Kansas, it's going to be knockout qualifying, meaning that any driver, even if you're the points leader, could possibly not end up making the race if you don't qualify with a good enough speed or a good enough performance, say, in this event. So, how it's all going to work, at least for the duels here, top 20 finishing drivers in each of the respective duel races will get to start the Daytona 500, and the starting lineup will be determined by the results of the duel, so we don't have a guaranteed front row like we used to have. And on top of that, every other race after this, as far as like non-duel events, we're going to have at the beginning of every race video, not only the previous week's point standings, but also the results of each group qualifying session. Basically, the 20 fastest in each group session makes it to the main event, so to speak. So that is how knockout qualifying is going to work. Bonus points for starting up in the top 3 will remain the same. You get 3 points for getting the pole, 2 points for getting second, and 1 point for third. Or it's 2 for first, 1 for second. I forget. I'd have to go back. But anyways, let's get started with the Busch Duels. So we're doing duel number 1, and the lineup for duel number 1, we have rookies Adam Garcia racing the number 28 Red Bull Ford out of Robert Yates Racing, and starting next to him is Daniel Voiles in the 26 Rockstar Energy Ford out of Average Joe Enterprises. Row 2, we have our veteran but rookie to this series, who's finally making his debut in the Marvel Studios Cup Series, Mitchell Collins in the number 22 Pennzoil Ford for Young Motorsports. And along next to him is Joey Parkhill in the number 77 Nintendo Toyota for Zev Bellringer Enterprises. Row 3, we have Scott Groverston in the number 42 Shadow Colt Dodge out of Shadow Colt Racing that he co-owns with Dylan Jacobs. And then starting next to him is Ryan Acosta in the number 10 Slim Jim Dodge out of Johanna Atwood Motorsports. Row 4, we have rookie Riley Henry in the number 40 Dollar General Dodge out of Shadow Colt Racing. Starting next to him is Matt McIntyre in the Mac Tools Ford, number 14, out of a new team of McIntyre Zorlane Racing. It used to be Curtis McIntyre Racing, but since DJ Curtis isn't in this season, Jonathan Zorlane's taking over co-owner duties with Matt McIntyre. Row 5, we have Chris Dollarton in the number 83 out of Michael Norman Racing, and it's a Ford team this time. And starting next to him, actually, let me double check Dollarton's sponsor while I'm at it. Ah, well, never mind. Little last second mix up in my brain. And then starting next to him in the number 38 Ford out of Robert Yates Racing is Arthur Xavier, a rookie. Row 6, we have James Qualls in the number 70 Dodge out of Johanna Atwood Motorsports. And starting next to him, the number may seem familiar, it's the number 62. Most of us remembered the classic driver Dorian Facepuncher. Well, it's the same man, but he's going by his real name, and he is back for the first time in a long time, Stuart Campbell in the number 62 Dodge out of Young Motorsports. Speaking of Young Motorsports, in row 7, we have the owner of Young Motorsports, Dylan Young, in the number 2 Dodge. And next to him, another Dylan, the returning Dylan Poteet in the number 31 Chevy out of Pigeon Racing. Row 8, we have rookie Stephen Colon in the number 8 Chevy out of Diva Racing Incorporated. And starting next to him, returning Charles Belding in the number 91 Chevy out of Pigeon Racing. Row 9, we have Alyssa Drayson and a new team, the number 87 out of Zev Bellringer Enterprises, and she's in a Toyota. And starting next to her is the other co-owner of McIntyre Zorline Racing, Jonathan Zorline, in the 00 Ford out of that team. And then row 10, we have the return of Henry Sanford in the 07 Chevy out of S3 Motorsports. And then starting next to him is Rafael Leduc in the number 16 Toyota out of Wings of Glory Motorsports, the team that he himself owns. Row 11, we have Jessica Shelton in the 02 Chevy out of S3 Motorsports. Actually, no, it's S4 Motorsports, never mind. And then starting next to her is Carson Gum in the number 60 Ford out of Average Joe Enterprises. Row 12, we have Austin LaPlante returning to the series for the first time in a while in the number 48 out of JJ Motorsports. And starting next to him in the number 5 car, number 5 Chevy, is Johnny Gardner out of Evans Gardner Motorsports. And then starting dead last is rookie Daniel Bouchard in the number 19 Dodge out of Mopar Racing. So that is a look at the starting lineup for duel number 1. Let's go ahead and get the command to fire engines for duel number 1 here at Daytona.
Drivers, start your engines!
All 25 drivers in duel number 1 out for their pace lap. So as a reminder, whoever finishes top 20 in each duel race will get to compete in the Daytona 500. The bottom 5 for each duel will not be able to qualify. And also the actual point system, the point structure, is still the same as last season. So if you end up getting bottom 5 in the points races, then you don't get any points at all. Unless you had already had bonus points for qualifying, leading a lap, leading the most laps, what have you. So this season, especially with the amount of rookies, I believe there's more than 10 rookies this season. It's going to be a very, very competitive championship season for all these drivers. But yeah, a lot of new, interesting teams, like Robert Yates Racing, and basically my tribute to the late great Robert Yates, with 3 cars, the 28, 38, and 88. Although I believe the 38 Arthur Xavier's in this race. Yeah, he is. So the only Yates driver not in this race is Jackson Traeger, who's in the 88, but we'll see him in duel number 2 coming up. As everybody's coming out of turn number 4 for the pace lap, pace car will be pulling into pit road any moment, and he does now. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time to boogity 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 go duel racing. Just imagine if that was the final lap dash to the line. That would have been incredible, but just by a hair, Chris Dollarton led the first lap, and there was so many lead changes on that first lap. And things are getting even more crazy as they are 3x3 many rows deep as Alyssa Drayson has the lead for the moment. But here comes Adam Garcia, who's still looking to lead a lap to kick off the duels here. And I see Daniel Voiles by himself in the back right now, but he's still within the pack. Oh man, are they going to attempt 4 wide? Oh, I hope they don't. Oh, and Alyssa Drayson gets turned sideways. Oh, this is not going to end well. This is not going to end well. Back up the front they come up. Huge crash. James Qualls up into the catch fence. Holy cow, that was a wild ride. Manny, that's more than half the field involved in this crash, and Stephen Colon gets by. But look at Henry Sanford damaged. Jessica Sheldon with some front-end damage. Not many cars got through this one, so yeah, needless to say, we're going to have interesting end to this race. Look at the front-end damage to Jonathan Zorling's machine. Big damage to Riley Henry. Dylan Young really slow, and look at Daniel Bouchard's car missing the right front fender and engine smoke erupting, but Stephen Colon led that lap and is the race leader. But quite a few cars on pit road. Let's see, Scott Roverston, James Qualls, Stuart Campbell, Charles Belding, and Alyssa Drayson, and more going to be coming in. So that was more than half the field that was just taken out after a rather dubious circumstance that we will take a look at in just a second as we're trying to reassess everything that just happened. But Stephen Colon is the race leader, so we're going to take you to the replay and find out what brought the caution out for the first time tonight here in duel number 1. So this all happens right up at the front of the field. They were attempting 4 wide. Adam Garcia, it looks like he gets clear of Stuart Campbell and looked like he maybe was trying to get in line behind Alyssa Drayson, but just was nowhere close to making it happen. Ends up turning Alyssa Drayson down into the grass. We'll take a look at her camera angle in a bit. But Adam Garcia is going to come back into traffic, and this is where the big one's going to start. And the first car that's going to get nailed is right there. Henry Sanford gets hit. Up the track he goes, collecting a ton of cars. And look at the ride that James Qualls goes for. Riley Henry went up into the air after he took a hard hit. And look at Qualls just riding along the catch fence. Doesn't go for any flips, luckily, or at least I haven't seen any yet. No, he doesn't go for any flips. So luckily, no flipping for the 70, but still a crazy, crazy ride for James Qualls, who will more than likely not be able to make the Daytona 500 as a result. But now let's take a look at Alyssa Drayson's angle. After she gets turned by Adam Garcia, she was going at a high rate of speed at almost 210 miles an hour, and then she's down through the grass, can't get that car to slow down much faster, and is actually way ahead of everybody because of this. So, and then she's going to come back up the track, doesn't hit anybody, but ends up getting into the outside wall, and there you see the engine smoke erupting, and then she's now going to be sitting in the middle of the track and is going to get hit by a couple of cars. Arthur Xavier was one of them. There's the damage from Daniel Bouchard, and then Alyssa is going to get hit a couple more times, first there by Daniel Voiles, and then Dylan Young, who almost got through, he's going to end up sliding down the track and right into the front end of Alyssa Drayson's car. And then I think Scott Groverston... Groverston might have ended up getting stuck between the apron and the racetrack, and that's why he ended up getting teleported to pit road, I think. Yeah, he does get stuck right there, so I think he'll be able to get back on the track Maybe still have a chance if he's not lapped. But yeah, the first big one of the season comes out. Even though we had a multi-car wreck during the Clash, this is the first big one of the season. It comes early in duel number 1 as a result of almost 4 wide, not giving each other enough room, and wham, off to the craziness we go. But anyways, let's take you to the restart here in duel number 1. So as a result of that big one, we have 6 cars out of the race, but the lucky one that's going to barely squeak into making the Daytona 500 is Jonathan Zorling. The other 5 that are out are not going to be able to make it to the Daytona 500. And it's going to be a shock when you hear some of these names, but Riley Henry will not be able to compete. Dylan Young, for the first time ever, will not compete in the Daytona 500. Daniel Bouchard, Alyssa Drayson, and James Quall. So a lot of broken hearts as a result of the big one here at Daytona. That's going to end up costing quite a few veterans a spot at making the Great American Race and ending streaks of making every race for multiple seasons. So that's the risk you have with doing knockout qualifying style how to make the field, is that things like this can occur, especially when it's in a high profile level like Daytona. But when we get across the line, it'll be 8 laps to go here in duel number 1. Stephen Colon leads. Second is Dylan Poteet. Third, Henry Sanford. Fourth, Johnny Gardner. Fifth, Jessica Shelton. Sixth is Rafael Leduc. Seventh is Ryan Acosta. Eighth, Carson Gum. Ninth, Arthur Xavier. 10th, Matt McIntyre. The rest of the field is Joey Parkhill, Daniel Voiles, Mitchell Collins, Adam Garcia, Chris Dollerton, Austin LaPlante, Stuart Campbell, Scott Groverston, and Charles Belding. So all these drivers left on track are locked into the Daytona 500, as well as Jonathan Zorling for just barely squeaking by a spot to make it. But anyways, the green flag is back out here at duel number 1. Now, this is going to be, I'm going to be curious to see who all is going to be up to speed and be able to compete for the duel victory to get the pole for the Daytona 500. Remember, this duel race determines the inside row for the Daytona 500. Whereas with duel number 2, it's going to determine the outside row for the Daytona 500. Meanwhile, Stephen Colon leads, but here comes Dylan Poteet with a full head of steam. Can he get that big push from Ryan Acosta and eventually now from Carson Gum? He's there on the inside, but Colon hanging on strong on the outside. But it looks like Poteet going to have a slight advantage and is going to get to lead the lap. Or I don't know, maybe not. Oh, it looked like Colon just barely. Imagine again if that was the last lap. But now Carson Gum takes the race lead, but he leaves the bottom open a little bit for Johnny Gardner to make the move as he's getting pushed by Joey Parkhill in the 77. As unfortunately his teammate Alyssa Drayson will not be able to make the race, and Joey locked in now. But he's also hoping that his teammate and wife, Melissa Alexander, in duel number 2 can avoid trouble and finish well enough to make the 500 herself. But Joey Parkhill hanging on strong up here at the front. Adam Garcia trying to get back up to the front. As long as he doesn't cause another wreck, he should be okay. But it's getting pretty racy as there are still a couple of cars up to speed that were involved in that big one, although some of these cars, or actually just one of them that's up here, Scott Groverston, is a lap down because he ended up getting stuck between the apron and the racetrack during that caution. But still up to speed, but unfortunately will not be able to get the pole, but at least he'll get to compete in the race on Friday. So he's got that going. Back up towards the front, Adam Garcia leads as we're getting ready to come across the line for 5 laps to go here in duel number 1. So we're getting close to the end of the first duel, and we still got another duel race to go after this, with the remaining 25 drivers that have yet to get on track. Garcia leads as he's getting pushed by fellow Ford Carson Gum, who in turn getting pushed by Jessica Shelton, then by Matt McIntyre, then by Dylan Poteet, as they had a little 5-car inside line train going. But now Garcia splits off, and that's going to cost him, as here comes Carson Gum to the inside to take the lead for himself. As it's 3 wide for second behind him with Garcia, LeDuc, and Shelton. Shelton with the advantage of being on the inside. And just like that, as I was about ready to say, once you're up at the front, if you got a big gap ahead of a pack, that's never a good thing because you can get swallowed up by the field. And now Rafael LeDuc takes the top spot over with 4 laps to go. Even though LeDuc had the lead for the moment, suddenly he just lost a little bit of ground, and that cooperation with Stephen Collin and Carson Gum worked out, went to the outside, and now down to the inside they go, and Carson keeping the lead. Yeah, Charles Belding, Mitchell Collins, and Austin LaPlante, Chris Dollerton, Daniel Voiles, Henry Sanford, all completely off the pace. So everybody on back to Arthur Xavier is still up to speed. Whoa, what is Matt McIntyre doing on the apron? Something must be amiss with that 14 car, and it ended up costing him quite a lot of spots as a result. Not sure as to what went on there. But regardless, Rafael LeDuc hanging on to the top position on the racetrack for the time being, as here comes Adam Garcia once again. But yeah, Adam Garcia hanging on up here at the front of the field, as he's looking to go coast to coast, getting the pole for duel number 1 and winning duel number 1 to start on the pole for the 500, as we got less than a lap and a half to go. But look at Rafael LeDuc still trying to come up with a full head of steam, as he's about to get a big push from Stephen Collin, but LeDuc leaving the bottom open, as Collin has a run to the inside, but can he make it stick is the thing. He is there as the white flag is out here in duel number 1. Stephen Collin to the inside of Rafael LeDuc, but still anybody's race that's up here at the front that isn't Scott Groverston or Stuart Campbell, as they are a lap down. So it's pretty much a battle of 8 drivers up here. I was double checking everywhere to see if anything was happening. And Stephen Collin's looking really good to pull off the W here and to get the pole, his first career pole in the Daytona 500. Coming out of turn number 4 for the final time in duel number 1. Checkered flag waving. Stephen Collin wins the Busch Duel number 1 event and gets the pole for the Daytona 500. A rather chaotic affair here in duel number 1, as we had the big one and ended up costing 5 drivers a chance at even getting the opportunity to run in the 500. But regardless, Stephen Collin is going to be on the pole for the Daytona 500 as a result. But let's look at the rest of the results and see who all made the race. Jessica Shelton, despite front-end damage, still was up to speed and was competitive and had a chance at winning this race, but gets second and will get to start third in the Daytona 500. Joey Parkhill with a solid performance in third. He'll get to start 5th. And that's all due for that. And then Johnny Gardner with a great run in 4th. Dylan Poteet continuing a bit of momentum from the Clash, getting the top 5 here in duel number 1. Rafael LeDuc, it seemed like he was going to be the one to pull it off, but still solid performance in the 6th spot. Adam Garcia, despite controversy, gets a 7th place run, 8th for Carson Gum, 9th for Ryan Acosta, and then Matt McIntyre rounding out the top 10. And then the rest of the top 20 made it into the race. So they include Arthur Xavier, Henry Sanford, Daniel Voiles, Chris Dollarton, Austin LaPlante, Mitchell Collins, Scott Groverston, Stuart Campbell, Charles Belding, and just barely getting in is Jonathan Zorlane. And then unfortunately the bottom 5 did not make it. Riley Henry, Dylan Young, Daniel Bouchard, Alyssa Drayson, and James Qualls. So that is duel number 1 taken care of. Stick around as we got duel number 2 coming up next. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are getting set for the second Busch Duel race of the night here at Daytona to determine the outside row for the Daytona 500, as well as determine who will make it. After a rather chaotic duel number 1, maybe duel number 2 will see more competition and less crashing. But we'll see how all that's going to go here in just a bit. But a look at the starting lineup for duel number 2. We have rookie Alexander Rowe in the number 66 Toyota out of Wings of Glory Motorsports. And starting next to him is the defending series champion, Seth Cole, in the number 25 Chevy for Pigeon Racing. Row 2, we have Jackson Traeger in the number 88 Ford for Robert Yates Racing. Starting next to him is the number 77 Toyota of Melissa Alexander for Zev Bellringer Enterprises. Row 3, we have Caleb Kilburn in the number 99 Ford for Average Joe Enterprises. And starting next to him is Henry Durand, a rookie in the number 71 out of Toyota Racing Development. Starting in row 4, we have Dylan Jacobs in the number 41 Kamikaze Games Dodge out of Shadow Cold Racing. Starting next to him is rookie Quentin Moore in the number 27 Dodge out of Johanna Atwood Motorsports. Row 5, we have in the number 15 Toyota Keith Miller Jr. out of Toyota Racing Development. Starting next to him is Jordan Forbes in the number 39 Yoshi Dodge out of Shadow Cold Racing. Row 6 in the number 3 Chevy Cole Deaver, out of Deaver Racing Incorporated. Starting next to him in the number 51 Toyota is Ashland Boyd, who's making his return to the series out of Toyota Racing Development. Row 7, Michael Norman in the number 21 Ford out of Michael Norman Racing. Starting next to him is Jesse Turner in the 17 Ford out of Average Joe Enterprises. Row 8, we have rookie Aaron Macklin in the number 6 Ford out of Average Joe Enterprises. Starting next to him is Cody Lamas in the 84 Chevy out of JJ Motorsports. Row 9, we have William Brock, who's making his return to the series in the number 29 Chevy out of Diva Racing Incorporated. And starting next to him, another returning driver, longtime legend Charles Sanford in the 03 Chevy out of S4 Motorsports. Row 10, we have Patrick Smith in the number 61 Toyota out of Wings of Glory Motorsports. And next to him, rookie Trey Wright in the number 33 Ford out of McIntyre Zorlane Racing. Row 11, we have Rob Evans in the number 44 Chevy out of Evans Gardner Motorsports. Starting next to him in the number 9 Dodge is Jordan Lopez out of Mopar Racing. Row 12, Zachary Fitzwater in the number 12 Ford out of Young Motorsports. And next to him in the 09 Chevy out of S4 Motorsports, S4 Motorsports, Kyle Matthews. And then starting dead last in the 01 out of Shadow Cold Racing is Jay Jefferson. In the 01 Dodge, I should say. But anyways, let's get the Command 2 fire engines for duel number 2 at Daytona.
Is this on? Drivers, start your engines.
The final 25 drivers in the series out on track for the second dual race. So a lot of unique paint schemes, to say the least. Like Alexander Rowe's car, he's in a Fall Guys paint scheme, which is quite interesting to say the very least. But yeah, a lot of notable driver number and manufacturer changes. Like probably the big one out of this group of cars is Michael Norman going from racing the number 3 car in a Chevy to a Ford in the number 21. However, it's still the same team, just different manufacturer, Michael Norman Racing. So, like I said, the first dual race, you had that crazy big one, and it took out quite a lot of drivers from having an opportunity to make the 500. Maybe this time around, which it's going to be kind of stretching it, but maybe this time around we'll see a good, clean, competitive race to determine who is going to start second in the Daytona 500 and who will make the race itself as well. But yeah, I noticed that Melissa Alexander in that 78 McDonald's Toyota out of Zev Bellringer Enterprises, she's going to be all alone. She has no teammates. Her husband Joey and teammate Alyssa were in duel number 1, and Alyssa was taken out during duel number 1 while Joey made it in. But the pace car's in pit road, ladies and gentlemen. Boogity boogity, let's go dual racing again. Well, Seth Cole kind of picking up from where he left off at Kansas, leading the first lap. And he almost actually, during the clash on Monday, almost got a second career win in the clash, but just came up short just by a bit. Meanwhile, former series champion Dylan Jacobs now up at the front. In fact, the Season 6 champion, I believe? Season 6 or Season 7, I can't quite remember. But regardless, Dylan Jacobs was up at the front. Meanwhile, Michael Norman now takes over the race lead as he's in that number 21 Haviland Ford out of his own team of Michael Norman Racing, or Michael Norman Motorsports, I should say. But already here comes more competition as Charles Sanford with a run taking the race lead as he's being pushed by championship contender from Season 8, Patrick Smith. Patrick Smith definitely looking for redemption here in Season 9 as he came so close. In fact, he dominated a good chunk of Season 8 as far as the points lead, but qualifying poorly towards the end of the season really hindered his chances of winning the championship. And speaking of getting hindered for the championship, here comes Cody Lamas, who still feels a little eaten up after he just lost the championship by 1 point, by just 1 position on the track to Seth Cole. As Cody Lamas was the best in terms of average finish last season with a 16.6, he's definitely looking to redeem himself and get that trophy at the end of the season. But the question is, can he do it? That's going to be the thing. But meanwhile, up at the front, Jesse Turner with a solid run going up here at the front to kick things off. Oh man, are they going to attempt 4 wide again? Oh, please don't, please don't. Okay, they get back to 3 wide. Because remember, during duel number 1, they attempted 4 wide up at the front, and it ended up not going so good as the big one happened. So far, they're keeping it clean and green, which is really nice to see. Wow, look at the run out of nowhere. Trey Wright and that number 33 Boy Scouts of America Ford. Trey Wright just out of nowhere. Now, Trey Wright I don't know that much about. I know he's competed in other NR 2003 series elsewhere. And this is his first full season in Marvel Studios Cup competition. And he's right now looking pretty solid to perhaps make the 500. But all the 25 drivers... yeah, all 25 of them are still up here in this pack. It's still anybody. It's a total crapshoot of who's going to make the race and who's not going to make the race. But Alexander Rowe, who started on the pole here in duel number 2, up here at the front of the... or now in second, I should say, kind of just riding a little bit for the time being. Henry Durand and that number 71 out of... Toyota Racing Development. In fact, all 3 Toyota Racing Development drivers are in this duel. Durand, Miller, and Boyd, as they're all around somewhere. There's Miller in that 15 Dr. Pepper Toyota. Now, where is Ashland Boyd at? Oh, at the very end of the pack in that Nationwide Toyota, the number 51. But back up at the front, Trey Wright still hanging on to the race lead for a bit. But Henry Durand, it looks like he's got a really fast race car. That South Park Toyota out of Toyota Racing Development, just hanging on to the back bumper for a bit behind Trey Wright. Meanwhile, a battle on for third. Cody Lamas has the spot, but here comes Melissa Alexander in the 78 to try and take it away. Now Cole Deaver breaks apart that little tandem, and now is going to try and get to the third spot himself. He ironically finished third in the Clash back on Monday. Doubt he wants to get third again, but even if he got third again, he'd still get a fantastic starting spot up in the top 10. So that's that little note for you. Meanwhile, Trey Wright's still hanging on the lead as we're a little bit past the halfway point here in duel number 2. And duel number 2's been going by a lot faster than duel number 1, as we did have that one caution during duel number 1 for the big one that saw James Qualls go riding along on the catch fence here in turns 1 and 2. Here comes Patrick Smith with a bit of a run, although he gets left hanging a little bit as Michael Norman trying to formulate the inside line to get a big run to try and get to the lead. Looks like he'll be able to get up to second, but Trey Wright just has too much room up at the front to go down and block. And Trey Wright did block Michael Norman right there, although Norman trying to break it apart and try and get to the lead for himself. And now he's got a new draft partner in Rob Evans. So Michael Norman trying to get to the lead. And he's still got a nose to the inside of the 33, as we're going to watch on helicopter camera for a little bit and watch the action from above. Michael Norman now clears the 33, but left the bottom open for Rob Evans to try and get to the top spot. And now here comes Rob Evans. Now, Rob Evans definitely feeling a lot more confident now that he picked up his first career points win last season at 8 Bowl. And he also won the Clash back on Monday. So he's looking to try and make history and be the first driver in the history of Marvel Studios Cup Series to win the Clash, a duel, and the 500. Right now, he's got a lot of work ahead of him, as Michael Norman, with a huge run, is going to take over the top spot on track once again. As positions continue to just shuffle and shuffle and shuffle up here at the front, a couple of cars have now lost a draft, Jordan Forbes and Ashland Boyd, so those are going to be 2 drivers more than likely not going to be able to race in the Daytona 500 now. So tough break for them too, that they lost the draft and now they're losing speed and not going to be able to compete. Michael Norman hanging on still as it's now 4 laps to go here in duel number 2, as we've been clean and green the whole way through with duel number 2. But here comes Rob Evans back up to the front again as he's trying to go for history. Rob Evans hanging on strong for the time being, but he's got quite a few hungry youngsters like Jackson Traeger hot on his tail. And that inside line trying to get formed by Jay Jefferson in the 01. But Michael Norman pulling out and is going to try and take the lead back as Trey Wright. He's been kind of hanging on in the top 5 pretty much most of the race. You just haven't really been able to shake him off. You just haven't been able to shake him off at all, it seems. As Michael Norman hanging on to the spot still with 3 laps to go. But Jay Jefferson, who started dead last in the duel, up here to second. Although actually now probably going to lose a couple of spots, as here comes Jesse Turner in the 17. And I'm also keeping an eye on the back of this pack, because aside from Boyd and Forbes, even the previous season champion Seth Cole is by himself a little bit at the back of the pack. So imagine that, the defending series champion not being able to compete in the Daytona 500. That'd be kind of unthinkable, but again, that's the risk of knockout qualifying. So Seth's going to have to really make something happen if he wants to continue making races. And he's running out of time as it's now 2 laps to go side by side between Norman and Jefferson. Jefferson with a run underneath the 21 and looks like he might get the lead. Jordan Forbes hanging on to the front for now, but you got a lot of other contenders trying to work their way through. Zachary Fitzwater being one of them in that number 12 Dodge. The outside line somehow just got a massive run right there, and Jefferson and Norman end up going down to the bottom to try and block any kind of momentum that inside line might have had. But Norman breaks it apart as he's trying to get to the lead again. As the white flag is out, Jay Jefferson leads, but Michael Norman right there to the inside. Although some more contenders. Whoa, Caleb Kilburn onto the apron. Kind of like what happened with Matt McIntyre during duel number 1, where he ends up getting loose down on the apron and losing a ton of spots. And in turn, that's going to hold up quite a few contenders. Back up at the front, however, it's still a battle between Norman and Jefferson. Jefferson to the inside. Can he get by Norman at the line? It's going to be close. Side by side, which line's going to prevail? Is it going to be the inside or the outside? I don't know. It's going to be 3 wide at the line. Checkered flag. Michael Norman wins duel number 2 in a great photo finish almost. 3 wide exactly at the line. Michael Norman will get to start second in the Daytona 500. What a fantastic finish to a solid duel number 2 without any real problems. Wow. Imagine if we see that kind of an outcome during the 500 on Friday. That would be something. But let's take a look at the rest of the results and see who all made it into the race. Jay Jefferson so close to getting the win and getting to start second, but still no shame in getting a good run and a good starting spot for Friday, finishing second here tonight. Then it was Trey Wright in third, Charles Sanford fourth, Melissa Alexander fifth, and then the rest of the top 10 in Duel 2, Cody Lamas, William Brock, Keith Miller Jr., Quentin Moore, who's going to make the race, and Zachary Fitzwater. And then the top 20, the rest of them that's going to be in, we have Alexander Rowe, Aaron Macklin, Jackson Traeger, Dylan Jacobs, Cole Deaver, Patrick Smith, Seth Cole, Caleb Kilburn, Kyle Matthews, and Jesse Turner, meaning that Jordan Lopez, Rob Evans, Henry Durand, Jordan Forbes, and Ashlyn Boyd will not be able to race the Daytona 500 on Friday. So tough break for all those guys. So they're going to have to try again next week in race number 2. But congratulations to Michael Norman for winning duel number 2, and congratulations to the winner of duel number 1, and those two, and it was Stephen Kalan. So those two will be the front row drivers for the 500 on Friday, as, ladies and gentlemen, you will see on your screen momentarily the official starting lineup for the Daytona 500 on Friday. But until then, this is Levi McIntyre signing off.